And we begin this morning with breaking news of a mass shooting in Southern California.
Police say at least a dozen victims were killed at a nightclub in Thousand Oaks, California during college night. Among the victims is a sheriff's deputy who was just 1 year from retirement.
So this all started around 11:20 last night. Police say when they arrived on scene, they could still hear shots being fired. Right now, police have confirmed that the shooter also died. Investigators have recovered one handgun. No other weapons have been found at this point. The FBI is on scene. Of course, we are continuing to follow the very latest. The Today Show will have the very latest coming up in about a half hour. We'll monitor this all morning long for you. Right now, it is 6:30. We want to get a check of our local weather with meteorologist Matt Jordan. Hey there, Matt.
Allison, Kyle, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Very cold out there right now. Some areas about 10 degrees cooler than where you were yesterday, and yesterday was cold, so be aware of that. First things first, if you happen to be driving around this morning, best to give yourself plenty of extra time to defrost your car. Otherwise, temperatures, it's actually warmer in Klamath Falls than it is in Medford right now. Just interesting to see out there. 23 degrees for Lakeview, 18 for Alturas. Probably looking at teens as we look in Northern California. It's just a little too cold, apparently, with 23 for Ashland, 32 for Montague. Wairika. Got to go out to the coast to find anything above freezing, with Roseburg actually right around 40 degrees. So Roseburg included above freezing. As we look at your temperature trend, this is Medford, but a lot of us going to warm up very quickly once the sun rises. It'll take a little bit of time. We actually start to cool down over the next hour or so, but by 7 a.m. sun comes out. We'll start to warm up finally. 30s into 40s, 40s into the 50s, and the upper 50s possible for a lot of the West Valleys. Visibility is one of the main concerns, though, because with the freezing temperatures and the fog, you have the possibility of freezing fog. We're seeing that right now in the Grants Pass area. Back to you.
Matt, thanks so much. 6:31 is your time right now. Now to the very latest on Capitol Hill. Former U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions left the Department of Justice Wednesday for what's likely his last time. He walked out of the department to applauses from dozens of staffers after 2 years on that job. Sessions resigned Wednesday, he says, at the request of the president. Sessions' replacement, Matthew Whitaker, was appointed by President Trump as the acting attorney general. Sessions was the first senator to endorse Trump, but the president criticized him for recusing himself from the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election.
Protesters at the White House last night made it clear they are not happy about Whitaker replacing Sessions since he's been publicly critical of Robert Mueller's investigation.
If Mueller needs to do something or seek additional authority or get permission to charge, Mueller has to go through Whitaker.
Whitaker can fire Mueller, but only for cause like misconduct. Indivisible, a social justice group, is hosting a number of rallies today at 5 o'clock this afternoon. There's one being held at the Ashland Plaza, the other in downtown Medford at Vogel Plaza.
Back here at home, voters in Grants Pass have approved a measure to collect a 3% tax on the sale of marijuana, after city councilors voted to approve that tax back in May. This referendum puts a 3% tax on all recreational marijuana. Currently, the state tax on marijuana is 17%. Now that this measure has passed, the total tax on marijuana will be 20% for dispensaries just in the Grants Pass area.
To probably start in January, so we could figure it into the last half of this budget season and then the starting next year, how much we think it's going to bring in annually. So.
Roller says they haven't specified a purpose for the money collected from that tax, but he says it may go towards law enforcement and upholding marijuana laws in these cities. Of the 5 state measures on this November ballot, only one passed, Measure 102. It received bipartisan support in the state government with no major opposition to it.
Yeah, locally, however, there has been some disagreement on how effective this measure will actually be. Measure 102 asked voters if local governments should be allowed to issue bond measures for privately owned affordable housing projects. Individual bonds will still require voter approval, which is where things may get a little difficult. Essentially, taxpayers in certain cities or counties would have to face a tax in order to pass any housing bonds.
I think people are going to be looking for opportunities to build workforce housing, and this is going to be a really great tool for us.
I can't imagine what project would come before the voters that they would agree to bond, to tax themselves, to build an affordable housing project.
While people have different views on how to solve the housing crisis, 102 allows voters to ultimately decide.
Election day may be over, but some races are too close to call. That includes one Medford City Council race that's only 65 votes apart. Clay Berenson and James Herndon are fighting for Medford City Council seat Ward 2. Berenson, who's currently the Medford City Council for that ward, is leading with 50% of the vote, while his challenger, Herndon, has 49% of that vote. They say this is proof that every vote counts.
A few more votes, and we'll have to see what happens if there's any more coming in. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whatever. You need to vote.
He says he would like to see more people following the city council race, saying there's more than 11,000 registered voters in his ward.
Well, one local city will again vote in the next few weeks. Shady Cove Councilwoman Linda Christish is fighting for a recall effort. The organizer says she's representing her own interests.
Our wish is to have people on our city council who respect the will of the people, who promote business growth, and support the idea that every vote counts.
In a statement provided to Shady Cove residents, the councilor says she is protecting the interests of the people and has fought against insider tactics. The elections office says they'll be mailing out ballots again on Friday. Well, now that election season is over, you likely won't need those signs in front of your house anymore, so why not turn them into something a little bit more valuable? Talent Maker City is partnering with Talent Zero Waste Team and Southern Oregon Master Recyclers in action to help upcycle campaign signs. Non-recyclable corrugated plastic signs can be dropped off at 304 East Main Street in Talent. Then on Sunday, November 18th, Talent Maker City will be hosting a workshop where those signs can be transformed into things like smartphone and tablet stands. For more information, you can visit the Talent Maker City on Facebook.
Hope Village, a tiny home community for the homeless, is asking for volunteers. The village in Medford, made up of 14 tiny duplex homes, is in the process of building 16 additional homes, with the hopes of housing a total of 45 people. Medford City Council approved the expansion back in July. Rogue Retreat says the new units are set to open in April of 2019. It's why they're currently searching for volunteers who may help lower those construction costs. Wildfire season may be over, but crews are battling a new fire that broke out along I-5 near the Oregon-California border. The Oregon Department of Forestry says that fire is about 13 acres and is 25% contained. No homes in that area are threatened, and the cause is still under investigation. We were talking about frost on our cars earlier, but we're still talking about fires.
Yeah, it's still very, very dry out there. Of course, when you hit the dew point and it's cold enough, that's when we see those frosty conditions. And just about all of us going to be dealing with that this morning. But just because it's cold doesn't mean you can't spread fires, obviously. And we have kind of the same conditions. If it were in the middle of the summer, we'd be dealing with extreme fire danger, even some red flag warnings further to the south of us in Redding. But if you look outside, some areas hardly a cloud in the sky, a little bit more cloud cover up towards Douglas County, Coos County, and some fog out there as well, especially around Grants Pass. But it's, especially when we get in the afternoon, it's sunny, it's a little breezy out there, and it's dry, very dry, and there's just not a lot of precipitation in the forecast overall. So a lot of concern when it comes to especially that, the dry conditions. So fires still a possibility, even though technically fire season is over, but fires can still happen out of season. So checking out the coast today, mostly sunny, some areas of fog. Your highs mainly in the 50s and 60s. Could see as much as 70 degrees for Brookings today due to the, well, a light Checo effect. It's more just winds out of the north, really, keeping things warmer there. For the West Valley, mostly sunny, some freezing fog possible early. Your highs in the 50s and 60s, so very cold morning. We actually warm up more this afternoon than we did yesterday. And you're going to see that as well east of the Cascades with sunny skies. Your highs in the 40s and 50s, but a clear night tonight. And those clear skies mean when you lose all that heat, you drop into the teens and even single digits. Back to you.
All right, Matt, thanks so much. We are continuing to follow more breaking news into our newsroom this morning. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been hospitalized for 3 fractured ribs after she fell in her office at the Supreme Court late last night. Ginsburg is 85 years old. She went back to her home after the fall, but was experiencing some discomfort, so she went to George Washington University Hospital as this morning. Tests are showing that she has fractured 3 ribs on her left side and was admitted into the hospital for observation and treatment. Of course, this is just one of a number of stories we are monitoring this morning. We'll bring you any updates as we get them.
6:39 is your time right now, and VP5 News at Sunrise is just getting started. Coming up, a very, very bright porch light could attract some out-of-this-world attention. What an MIT study suggests about aliens.
And a 200-pound pet sounds unmanageable, but for this owner, it's also illegal. How a sheriff's deputy stumbled upon catfish. ish.
But as we go to break, here's a look at this morning's lowest gas according to GasBuddy.com. Stay with us. We have more NBC5 News at Sunrise coming up after the break.